Hi, this is DJ Slope from Slope's Game Room, and today we're going to be looking at Disney's 19th animated classic, which is The Jungle Book. The Jungle is Jumpin', first released on November 18th, 1968.
Woohoo! The Jungle Book. Now, I'm not too sure if this is the case for the entire world, but The Jungle Book seems to be the go-to obvious old school Disney film that people put as one of their favourites. Now, I'm not taking anything away from The Jungle Book, but it's the same sort of thing as The Lion King. If you ask someone that's not really into Disney, what's your favourite film? They'll say one of two things. They'll either say a film that isn't Disney, like Shrek and really get my back up, or they'll say The Lion King, and if they're a bit older, they'll just say The Jungle Book. And I think I know why. The Jungle Book is quite a casual watch sort of film. Again, I'm not taking anything away from Jungle Book because it is a fantastic film. There you go, that's my review. I love The Jungle Book and the sequel, surprisingly, but I do feel it's a bit of a scapegoat for people that aren't really into Disney. I don't know what I'm trying to get at this point. It's just something that I hear quite a lot when I ask people about what's your favourite Disney film. Yes, I'm quite sad. I ask that question a lot. And honestly, I don't get too tired of hearing this because Jungle Book really does deserve it. It is a fantastic film that everyone knows. Perhaps it has something to do with the music in the film, which is obviously awesome. Even if you're not a big Disney fan, if you're watching this, I bet you obviously already know those Jungle Book songs and you're thinking about them in your head right now. The same goes for The Lion King. Anyway, enough of what everyone else thinks of The Jungle Book. What do I think and what's the story? So just like most of Disney's films, The Jungle Book is an adaptation of a book set in the jungle called The Jungle Book, and it's made by a guy called Rudyard Kipling. And sadly, it is the film that Walt Disney himself was working on as he died. One from my homie Walt. So the film starts with a young baby called Mowgli who's found right in the middle of the jungle in a baby basket by a panther. No, this is a Disney film, so obviously the panther is quite nice. And the lovely panther, called Bagheera, takes the young baby over to a nice pack of wild wolves. No, this is a Disney film, so the wolves are quite nice too. The mother of the wolf pack's actually recently given birth to a load of whelps. Yes, that's what baby wolves are called. And she raises the human that wolves would normally eat, along with her baby wolves, just like it was one of her own.
10 years later.
So, it's 10 years later, and at some weird meeting for the Wolves Gentleman Club thing they got going on, which Bagheera, the panther we saw at the beginning of the movie, is sitting on a tree branch close by listening in. They discuss how Shere Khan, a tiger, is coming back to the jungle, and it's really not a safe place for a human to be. No. Yes, this one will eat him. So it's all a bit sad, and Bagheera, sitting on that branch up there, decides that he wants to take it upon himself to take Mowgli back to the man village where he can be raised and a little bit more protected. There's no messing about, he leaves that very night and gets straight onto the case. So thinking about it, the rest of the film is sort of a destination movie where you've got to go from point A to point B. Think Getting to the Greek, Toy Story, Dumb and Dumber, Road Trip, that sort of thing. But just like those movies, it's the experiences they have on the way and the characters that get thrown in there that are all so memorable. On their way, they come across a big marching band of elephants. Hop, 2, 3, 4, give it up. 2, 3, 4, hop. 2, 3, 4, give it up. 2, 3, 4, hop. 2, 3, 4, give it up. 2, 3, 4, hop. 2, 3, 4, give it up. 2, 3. See, what's going on here is that Mowgli actually decides that he wants to stay in the jungle anyway, even with the dangers, and he's trying to work out new animals that he can sort of try and fit in with. Who's going to protect him? You know, he's a young lad and he can make it on his own. He don't need to answer to no parents, aka Bagheera. As well as the elephants, he comes across an amazing, despicable, I suppose, sort of villain, but not the main villain of the film, Kaa the Snake. And the one that everyone absolutely loves, the cool, chilled out, laid back Baloo the bear. And on the other end of the spectrum, you've got all these monkeys, and the leader of their pack, King Louie, this over-the-top, injected with Jim Carrey serum orangutan. So all of these encounters that he has are all really good. None of them outstay their welcome whatsoever, and all of the characters are very memorable, very quotable. And as you watch this, and you listen to pretty much each one that has a song, it just brings back all the memories that everybody, because like I say, everybody loves Jungle Book, everybody can get a kick out of. But one of the big things that this is showing is all of these encounters that he has with all of these different types of animals and characters basically show that Shere Khan is getting closer and closer and closer with every single hiccup on the way to the man village. And eventually, obviously, Shere Khan does catch up with Mowgli, Bagheera and Baloo. Now, like I've said already, Mowgli ain't having none of this. He does not want to go to the man village. And even with all of these animals, that some of them have actually tried to kill him, and Shere Khan, the one that's probably most likely going to kill him, he ain't budging. So Shere Khan, this very sophisticated, deep-voiced tiger, plays a little game with him and gives him to the count of 10 to run away. Mowgli, the snotty-nosed little kid, decides he ain't having none of this and just stands there while he's counting down. 1, 2, 3, 4. You're trying my patience. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. As it sort of happens, there's this big sort of last fight scene. It's a bit more comical than your typical last fight scene of a big classic Disney movie than, say, like The Lion King or something like that. But just like The Lion King, lightning strikes his tree, there's fire everywhere. Baloo and Bagheera are trying to stop him. Baloo takes a tumble for the worst, he's knocked down. Doesn't look like he's getting up anytime soon. Mowgli finds this branch which is covered in fire, manages just to get into the back of Shere Khan, tie it onto the end of his tail, and Shere Khan has now come up against the one thing that he fears the most, which is fire, and no matter how fast he runs away, it's always directly behind him. So Mowgli wins. Now, like I said, Baloo has taken a turn for the worst. He's down, it looks like he's dead. Typical Disney, but it is old school, so maybe it wasn't as bad then. Let's be honest, we all know what's going to happen. There was this lovely speech done by Bagheera, and halfway through it, when the crowd are really tearing up, they quickly switch that emotion, and you realise that Baloo is listening in on these kind words that Bagheera's saying, getting all emotional himself, going, oh, it's beautiful. Hey, don't stop now, Baggy, there's more, lots more. Hey, everyone's happy. But we still need to get Mowgli back to the man village. Or do we? Because Shere Khan's now gone. Anyway, Mowgli still doesn't obviously want to go. They get to the outskirts of the man village, and he listens in on this beautiful, I suppose, young girl who's singing about going to fetch the water. Mother's cooking in the home. I must go to fetch the water till the day that I am grown. Old school Disney doing what they do. Mowgli gets all googly eyes over her and just like a zombie sort of just follows her into the man village. And that's the end of the movie. You get a little tear from Baloo that's really upset that he'll never see Mowgli again. But they go off, they have a little sing-song, and the end. So you're not going to get your 10 victory points for guessing that. Obviously, I love this movie. As a big fan of Disney, this is one film that everyone, not even fans of Disney, as I keep saying, is really, really well received. So like I said, this was actually the last film that Walt ever actually worked on. And it's a really nice way to go, because this one was one he wanted to get a lot more involved with. Like I said in the 101 Dalmatians episode, he wasn't as involved with that, and he didn't really like the final outcome as much as he'd wanted. And the legacy of Jungle Book still holds up to this day, with the obvious new remake that's coming out, which actually looks quite good, I must add. And kids everywhere to this day still knowing the songs to a film that came out in 1967. Songs like The Bare Necessities, which I didn't talk about, King of the Swingers, stuff like that is so good. Like, yeah, Jungle Book's a fantastic film. You didn't need to watch a short video review for me to tell you that. And the only thing that doesn't really get talked about too much are the crows that are obviously sort of crow renditions of the Beatles. And isn't that crazy that the least most popular song are obviously copycats of one of the most famous rock and roll bands of all time? But anyway, I digress. That's enough about Jungle Book. Let's have a look at the games.
Ah, poor old Walt. The final film before he died was such a classic, and thankfully so was the games. David Perry, the guy who we mentioned quite a few more times on this list, was part of making yet another extremely classic Disney video game. And this time, it's not just on the Mega Drive. However, before talking about that, we have a couple more games to talk about first. So here's Quackshot. How good is this game? One of my earliest memories of the amazing Mega Drive, a quality little early Disney platformer that fully holds up to this day. Anyway, one of the bosses found in the game is the looking fatter than normal Shere Khan. Now, I'll not be discussing the Jungle Book 2 as it's obviously based on the Disney sequel, which really isn't that bad, by the way. But one game I will be mentioning is Jungle Book Groove Party, or Jungle Book Rhythm and Groove to my transatlantic cousins. The game actually follows the story pretty damn well, in all honesty. Now any fans of Cad Icarus will already know what we're getting ourselves into here. It's a DDR clone. So in a nutshell, there really isn't too much to talk about here. They're not too bad considering the age cutscenes tell important parts of the story, and because the Jungle Book is full of new characters on every turn, well, every time you meet one, you have a dance off before you can move on. If this is your thing, then well, it's pretty much everything you expect. However, if you are over the age of 5, I suggest ramping up the difficulty, because it's seriously easy. Next up, we're going to be talking about Kingdom Hearts. Now the developer was going to feature a world based on the Jungle Book in the first game, but alas, it was never meant to be. They thought that it'd be too similar to the Tarzan world, so they decided against it. But they did put it in the mentally confusing sequel called Kingdom Hearts Birth by Sleep. Well, here it is. Oh yeah, the only way you're going to be finding this is by hacking the game. They got quite far into developing the area, and for no real reason that I can find, decided to drop it. Such a shame. Which finally brings us to the game we've all been waiting for. Jungle Book for the Master System, Genesis, NES, SNES, Game Boy, Game Gear and PC. Now it's got to be said that all of these games play a little bit differently to each other, as you'd expect. However, they are really the same game, but if you want the original and best version, you're going to be wanting to pick up the Mega Drive version. Now if any of you guys out there have played any of the classic Mega Drive Disney games and you haven't played this game, then you're doing yourself a massive disservice. This game looks beautiful, sounds beautiful and plays beautifully. So basically the levels are set up sort of like a maze and Mowgli must traverse the levels looking for gems. And then finally a character, before he does an amazing little dance move and the story continues to the next level. The boss battles are all quite fun. It has a couple of minigame-esque sort of style levels, and the game is completable in about an hour or two, depending on your skill level. Now, like I said, the Jungle Book for the Mega Drive is the ultimate version of the game. Do yourself a favour and go and try this one out. One of the very best games on this entire list. Hey guys, thanks for checking out my review on the Jungle Book. If you want to see the last one or the next one, click the links that you see here. If you want to support the show, check out my Patreon, subscribe if you haven't already, and well, that's it. This is DJ Slope signing out, and hopefully I'll see you all next time.